I had just recently became a big Selena Gomez fan. So knowing that she was gonna have a documentary, I was super interested to learn what I had not known. Folks, let's jump into the review of this new documentary, Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review, and today we're going to be reviewing the film Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me, releasing on Apple TV Plus November 4th. So yeah, anytime you check out a documentary, it's always about revealing new information or details about a specific subject matter, or it's about really giving you a full three-dimensional story about a celebrity or just some person of interest. And it's always an educational curve to it, and that's what it was for me here, is that Selena Gomez has been a name that I've heard for years, and I'm really not going to I'm not going to dive into the tabloids aspect of it, because when you say her name, certain other people's names is attached to it. We obviously know she's an artist, but I just recently became a fan because I love what she does in movie. I thought in all of movie and television, because I love Only Murders in the Building. That's one of my favorite shows. But she's been in a couple of other little things that I was kind of like, hey, I'm digging that, So this documentary was definitely going to, be perspective about who she is as a person, but more or less the emphasis in her struggles and journey with mental health, which I had knew parts of this by the news. But like, this one really laid it out. It was very raw, very intimate, very personal with Selena Gomez. And, you find that out very early in this, It starts off in 2016 as she gets ready for the revival tour, which we know by news that, she performed 55 times and then it was canceled. So, understanding why she made the decision she made, sort of just the struggles that she had coming in all different directions. And these are like struggles in terms of like emotionally and mentally, like, she had it in every direction for her. And really not feeling like herself, not feeling good, and wanting to be able to stand on her own 2 feet without needing anyone else, especially when it comes to her music. There's always the whole idea of like, hey, you got good music, but what about that song you did with Justin? How about that? And she never wants to feel like she needed a crush to be the star that she is. But yeah, as I said, she took a beating when it comes down to rumors, the tabloids, obviously going after her relationships, and just the paparazzi doing their thing and just harassing her in every direction. And then obviously there came, the whole thing with her drug abuse and partying and how that, tied into all of this, and her just trying to figure this all out. And from that started to really have her dive into some really deeper mental health issues at times where she didn't want to live. And I mean, we got to get interviews from like her assistant, her friends, her mother, who says at times when they seen her having these episodes, they almost couldn't recognize her. She just like a shell of herself. So like, we're getting this detail from people that was very close to her, or is very close to her, that was with her throughout this journey, as well as herself recanting all of these events and talking us through it. And it's definitely heartfelt, but also what I liked about the artistry to this is that like she narrates the documentary in like a poetic way, and through these transition scenes we get these visuals of words, almost like diary entries or journal entries and whatnot, and it's done in a very artsy way that I thought was really cool to kind of really add some emotion to the things that are happening, from one moment to the next. And then, get into 2019, where this is where she got diagnosed as bipolar, and she was very upfront about this in terms of saying, I have to take this day by day, and this comes after in 2015 with her lupus diagnosis. And this is the point where she said she needed to take a break from everything to really focus on her health. So she's always been very much on the forefront about her mental health and her struggles, and hoping to help others throughout their journey. I think that, there's not a lot of emphasis in terms of people with platforms who have lupus. Obviously, we know we have Nick Cannon and we have her. So, she's always felt like this duty of hers to kind of be that for folks, to make it okay to have these conversations about mental health and another bit of autoimmune issues that folks could have. So she's kind of bridging her journeys with lupus and talking about her flare-ups throughout everything that she's dealing with mentally, and she's not afraid to stay away from it. And then, many times she's done interviews, she said different things in terms of just processing anxiety and panic attacks and depression, and how there can be side effects of lupus, and then all sorts of just other challenges. But with that's half the documentary. The other half, we kind of go back down memory lane. We see her really connect with her roots. She goes back to her high school, goes and pays them a visit. She talks about her time being on Barney, which I had no clue she was. That was a surprise to me. And then she sees some of her childhood friends and childhood homes and all sorts of things about her upbringing that we get to see footage of, which I thought was really cool. And, she also talked a lot about being honest and being honest, and how being honest can help. And beyond that, she started to find courage and strength in other locations to really be a voice for folks. And, she talked about writing Lose You to Love Me, which took her 45 minutes to write, which happens to be one of her biggest songs. And she talked about the importance of the song, why the song was made, and it basically about, losing every part of who you are just to rediscover yourself. And I think that, the lyrics of the song is completely, telling, but hearing her actually talk about it just was on the next level for me. And then after that, she took a trip to Africa. She went to Kenya, and this was a humbling experience. And I really love how raw she was with this, because, she went there to kind of really, like I said, humble herself and to hear other folks' journeys and struggles, and also share her own testimony as well in hopes to help everybody, which this trip actually really bred this next step in her life, the next things that she wanted to do. And she knew she wanted to become an advocate, and she wanted to provide resources for all of the younger generations, the folks who need mental health education. She knew that this trip was something that could help her, but she never knew that this trip was going to actually turn into her actually discovering what she feels is her purpose is on Earth. And then there was some other little stuff that happened in this documentary. She had an interview where she basically was not happy about it because the person was just drilling her with questions and they actually wasn't listening to her. And she said it kind of made her feel like she was a product, which I was yikes. And seeing her really kind of be blown about that was kind of I kind of got the same feeling about it. I feel bad for whoever that person that was interviewing her, because you're on this documentary, and that wasn't a good moment for you there. And again, kind of going back again to the music, we all know her for her music, but understanding that that was just a small part of her life, where now wanting to become an advocate for mental health and set up foundations to help folks with mental health was always her true goal and purpose. She always talked about it for years, about wanting to do something bigger. And that's what she did when she went to Kenya. She kind of figured out. But then 2020 came, the pandemic. And the pandemic was obviously challenging for everyone's mental health, which also then tied back into her having some of her worst flare-ups with lupus. And seeing her really struggle with that, also putting a pause into everything she wanted to do in Kenya, was definitely really emotionally draining for her. It sucked, and she wanted to try to find ways, but she was still determined to figure out what she needed to do. So that's really the core of this. Now, I know some folks are going to ask some things, so I'm just going to get this out the way. There's nothing about Justin Bieber in this besides this mentioning that it's one of the hardest breakups ever for her. It was definitely about the struggles of mental health. There is some mid-credit updates in terms of things that are kind of happening now, and obviously listing resources and seeing her record her song, which her song to to the documentary, My Mind in Me, which is such a good song and a very strong performance with her in the studio singing it, where you can kind of feel the emotions coming off of her from it. And then obviously by 2020, you know, her creating the Rare Impact Fund to raise, in which she raised $100 million to provide free mental health resources for young people. So like she's on her way in the things she wants to do. There's more updates involved, and quite frankly, like, listen, I again, for me, I always said Selena Gomez was an artist who decided to start acting, and yes, she has an array of credits. And obviously, you know, from the tons of music videos she's done, some other little things, other little movies and whatnot. She's done some voice acting, but Only Murders in the Building, she's fantastic. And she's also in a horror film. I can't remember the name of that horror film, but she definitely was in a horror film, and I was just kind of like, yeah, you know, I get her giving me this hipster vibe and whatnot. I wish I could think of the name of that. But either way, I was like, okay, you know what? She's diversifying herself, stepping out of her norm of just doing music and doing other stuff. And that still just seems to be a small part of her life, because now, you know, this documentary was really about a 6-year span into this new light, you know, and her wanting to be an advocate for mental health, and seeing her be very open and raw about it in this documentary and in her life, I thought was really, really dope. So like, I've always had a level of respect for her as an artist and for her as an actor, but now as somebody who's using her platform for the likes of others, I got such newfound respect for her, and I really can't see what she does. Really can't wait to see what she does next. So folks, check out Selena Gomez, My Mind in Me, dropping on Apple TV Plus November 4th. Folks, jump in the comments, let me know your thoughts about it, and as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon. Big gold bell,